to the 90-day Heart-Made Consciousness Experiment. Okay, make sure you unmute yourselves. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I want to play something for you guys. We're going to start off with that today and that'll also, if there's other people that are joining in. I know Heidi's not going to be able to make it. She has a meeting that's kind of in the midst of this. And then we have Rob is also not going to be here tonight. He did arrive to his destination. His heart is so filled with love. I'll just share real briefly because it's part of our, reports here. I won't read the whole thing, but he's just saying he did make it to New York. And of course, Stevie is his heartthrob, that adorable puppy that he has. And he's just expressing, his appreciation and gratitude, and that he's pondering his next creation. And he's like, his life can't really get a whole lot much better than what it is right now. Cause it's just, you heard him express himself in the last Monday, how it was just so effing good. So, so it's pretty exciting. Let me go ahead and then we'll do a screen share for this part as well. We'll stop this screen share and start a new one. So we'll go ahead and we're gonna listen to these aha moments. Hydrogen is the first element on the periodic table and is composed of one proton and one electron. Now, hydrogen atoms have no need for a neutron. All other elements have neutrons. Stars are all primarily composed of hydrogen, which is used in the process of nuclear fusion to generate helium. Through this process, photons are created. And photons do one thing. They illuminate. Light forms ignite the process of the formation of physical matter. Photons communicate that all systems are a-go. Electrons are the switches and which activate the photons to become turned on. Hydrogen's crystalline structure is hexagonal, which represents a perfect cube shape. All life forms are composed of combinations of the fundamental elements of hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon. In the 1994 film called Stargate, the protagonist Daniel Jackson discovers the secret to his Stargate by realizing that 7 points are needed to plot a course through space, 6 points to determine a destination in three-dimensional space, a cube. Often utilized to represent a 3D space, has 6 sides. 6 points of intersection converge through a 0 point. There are 3 tangential lines in an XYZ coordinate system. The 7th coordinate is the point of origin, which is always 0. All things have a point of origin. A new one is born from another 0, which originally occurred in the original point of origin known as 1 proton, 1 electron. John 1:1. King James Version 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. I would like to note that the term God is not intended to be anything other than a means to begin a conversation and maintain a basic understanding of an aspect of God that pertains to the sound ah, spelled A-H. We are all aware of the use of the sacred sound as it has found its way into existence through many words that relate to divine spirits, entities, and ideas. Amun-Ra, Krishna, Shiva, Brahma, Ganesha, Yahweh, Allah, Abraham, Jehovah, Buddha, Yeshua, Muhammad. There are countless other cultures, religions, faiths, and philosophies that utilize concepts and deities that incorporate words composed of syllables using the AH sound. One of my favorite words is the Hawaiian word ALOHA. This sacred word is very powerful and is a greeting in an offering and represents the essence and spirit of love. And as we become aware of how we feel, our awareness will expand. So when we laugh, we make the ha 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 sound. We're actually having mini revelations. Whenever we are laughing, the healing process occurs when we laugh. If we can laugh at anything, we can resolve anything that uses or causes us to feel disturbed or other than peaceful feelings. So comedians are masters at showing us how to view our faults in a way that we learn how to acknowledge them, what we can accept about ourselves in order to be better and to better understand why we do the things that we do. When we laugh, we're reminded that we are alive. Awe-inspiring moments are always fun. Light forms are exhibited for us to witness. We look up and see the sun, moon, planets, stars, comets, and asteroids. What we can absolutely see and what we see can absolutely inspire us. Throughout human history, we have evidence of expressions of art and writing through which we see how celestial objects have been a vital focus and attention. The aspect of our consciousness that is responsible for the creation of our reality is our imagination. If you ever want to be deeply inspired, just look up and view the wonders of the universe. If you wish to feel more grounded, take a walk and view Mother Nature. Seeking out anything that will inspire us while doing so without any expectation of specific results will generate more experiences from which to better understand why we exist. We are attracted to shiny objects for a physiological reason. Our cortex and thalamus gland are stimulated, causing us to be alert and vigilant. Being deprived of light will have adverse effects on your mental, physical, and emotional states of being. Light affects our endocrine system that produces the hormone serotonin, which balances our mood, causing us to feel calm and focused. Absorbing sunshine and breathing fresh air is always beneficial to our overall well-being. So feel free to just breathe and become more aware of how to simply be. Excerpt from Michael Everard, who has an absolutely beautiful 3D photo, which is very gorgeous to take a look at, because as you look at the picture, your first perception is that it's just a, three-dimensional flat picture. But if you take your cursor from your computer and you hover it over the picture, you will start to become aware and recognize, as well as realize, that that's a three-dimensional picture, and it is in fact moving and showing you different perspectives as you waver your cursor left to right, up, down, and all around. It is really a great deal of fun. And I want to thank Michael for sharing this information and this just exquisite wisdom. I immediately recognized that it was a jewel and knew that I had to share it with you. Okay, so, and for those of you who don't know, in that particular excerpt, the aha moment, it talks about the word aloha, which, aloha is a greeting in Hawaiian, which means breath of spirit, aloha. And I know people say aloha when they first see you, and also they use it as a goodbye, as a greeting of, so long, farewell. And for those of you who don't know this, I think most Americans know that ciao is hello. But back in the old country, ciao is also goodbye, like aloha. So you use it ciao, to greet somebody when you first see them. And it's also ciao as another way of saying goodbye. It's a colloquialism as well. I was very struck by that particular post because of the ha. That's an aha moment. And like I mentioned, Michael Everhard, if you actually go to my Facebook profile page, you'll see I actually ended up sharing that post, and you'll be able to take your cursor and put it on the image. And when the first time I read the post, I just thought it was a 2D post like everybody else's. It wasn't a video, it was a picture. So, and I didn't realize until when I went back and I had decided, that would be a great post to share with the group. And then I ended up doing that recording And of course, I was trying to figure out a way to share that image so that you could see that actually there's movement to it. And then I decided, you know what, the best thing to do is to just share it on my Facebook page, because then you guys will be able to reread it and you'll be able to play with it with your cursor, and you'll see how, whether you go side to side, up, down, go in circles, the perspective changes. And I thought how appropriate, because the post did talk about perception. It also talked about how hydrogen doesn't have any neutrons, and about the light emitting properties of the photons and the electrons in hydrogen. And as we know, there's hydrogen in everything on the planet. Everything has hydrogen in it, and how it's also making up the stars. I'm sure that we've all become aware through this 90-day heart-made consciousness experiment that there are certain perceptions that we had before we began, and some of them have probably changed. For example, for myself, I know that as I've been doing all of this different work, including the 90-day heart-made experiment, is that you have an awareness and you start to realize that the perceptions that you had before aren't as static as you once thought, and that everything is far more fluid, and that you are a participant in deciding which way that fluidity and that movement goes. And so that's part of the foundation, if you will, of the 90-day heart-made consciousness experiment, because we are with intention, which is an inward attention. We're using our intention of our conscious awareness to bring into our experience within 90 days, a heartmate, and to also increase, our own love, self-love, and to basically make ourselves feel better, because we have, our life is just getting better day by day. With that being said, I want to go ahead and Terry, I'm going to start with you. I wanted to see if you would share with us, how's your week been? Let us know what your report for the week is. As you know, we have been measuring, just as a little recap, in case people are curious, it's synchronicities, dreams, people we meet, dates, connections, etc. How's that coming along? And
would you mind closing that window so I can expand all the faces on my screen?
Sure.
Thank you. There, now I can see everyone. Awesome.
Me too. I can see everybody better too, because it's bigger.
I've been continuing to have, number sequences, 555 or 1111. It's just kind of amusing now. It's something to kind of almost laugh with and have joy about, because it just keeps showing up so much. I again keep getting requests on Facebook to friend me from gentlemen. And the other day I was in town, and a lot of men were very gracious and acquiesced to me. Like, one opened the door, another one noticed I dropped something and said, pointed out, hey, you dropped something. Another one, I was loading my car with the groceries from Costco, and he's like, made some comment about Costco's really busy, isn't it? As he was just, walking by. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting that, the interaction, they're feeling, I guess, some energy field more to speak out, And then I've also had a lot of synchronicities, not necessarily around the heartmate, but just taking care of myself. I was able to get in really promptly for a physical to renew my commercial driver's license. And in doing so, found out a couple of health concerns that I can take care of. But if I hadn't gone in for the physical, I wouldn't have known that. So that was really awesome. I got right in for an eye doctor appointment, which was amazing. And there was one more thing. Oh, the mechanic, my car has been squealing a little bit. And the mechanic, we have mobile mechanics here in Hawaii, which I just love that concept. They come to your house.
That's so nice.
Isn't that amazing? Yes.
Whoa.
And so I called him last night. He was here today. Like, that was amazing. And he's going to fix the brakes tomorrow. So I'm like, hallelujah. Yeah, that sure is. And then because of Barry, I forget his last name, but him. The map, somebody that's a Dr. Joe student is moving to Maui on Thursday, and they contacted me. I mean, I've been in touch with them for a couple of weeks, but they need some help picking their car up to get it to the airport, which I'm happy to do for them. So that's really cool, that connection. And I have this sense that, because I've been calling in community, not just a beloved, but community too. So there's the possibility of community, because they also have little children, and I would love to be part of a family again. I raised 4 kids. I have 8 grandchildren, but I'm not, physically, because geographically, I guess is the word. I'm not geographically close. So I look forward to whatever unfolds with this. So that was my week.
Wow, that's a lot. Amazing to hear that you have this elite car service where they come to your home to fix or change your brakes or whatever car repair you need. It's like, that's pretty nice.
Oh, here's one other little piece. My air conditioning went out, and it's supposedly going to be a really expensive fix. A different mechanic was the one that determined that. But since this guy was here anyway, I thought, I'm just going to ask him to look at the air conditioning, because I about had heat stroke down in the valley this week. It's so hot because it's humid, and I can't do humid as well as I can do arid. So I just kind of looked at it like, yeah, the universe made a problem with the brakes so that the mechanic would get here so that I'd take care of the air conditioning too.
Oh my goodness, it's all falling into place for you.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that is so fantastic. Oh, this is great. Oh, that's wonderful. And I love the fact that connecting, your intention has been not just to bring in a heartmate, but also to bring a greater sense of community where you have more like-minded people in your, immediate environment, not just online. And so now this gal is coming, moving into your area that you've been communicating with, and she's got kids. And so it seems like, yeah, your interactions are definitely way up from when we began this. I think it seems like from all the reports that we've had, this is our 8th Monday that we've been meeting. And, we started on that Thursday, the 7th of May with our intro. And it seems like everybody's interactions are up, the number of contacts in all different mediums. It's definitely up. So it's fun and it's exciting. And it seems to snowball is what I'm noticing as well.
Yeah, I was just kind of talking to the universe about that. I'm like, I'm so grateful for all this abundance of services being quickly available, but it was almost overwhelming to juggle it all and make it all fit in. I'm just like, wow, are my arms big enough to hold all this blessing?
Yeah. And I love how last week you were talking about how you had a man cooking for you who was a gourmet chef. It's like, oh, that was like so awesome. So yeah, you have a lot of wonderful, wonderful things that have come forth. And so we're just going to keep the momentum going. So this is really, really fun. And I can see the joy, you were already joyous when we started this, but it's just one of those things where, you can always go infinitely more joyous, just like you can get, infinitely worse where you're sucking wind going down the toilet. Yeah. That's infinite in either direction. We just get to choose which direction we want to go in. Awesome, Terry. Is there anything else that you want to share, or is that pretty much, that's quite a bit.
I think that was it, as I can recall. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the highlights.
Okay, awesome. Fantastic. Were there any dreams that you recalled, or any insights that you had, or feelings from dreams?
Oh, you reminded me. Today was for the first time, and I don't know why I didn't do this sooner, was the first time I ever meditated outside. Now, I'm not talking about walking meditations. I mean, sitting meditations.
Outside.
I went outside on the deck and did a meditation it was glorious. I'm like, I'm going to do this every time it's good weather. I'm going to start doing meditation outside. And I did the Go Love 20. And when it said, bring the person into your heart, it was my grandfather. Oh. And when I brought him into my heart, I smelled flowers.
Wow.
And I'm like, did I smell that before and just didn't know it? And then after, we went on with meditation, the scent went away. So it was only there for about 1 minute when I brought him into my heart, and then the scent dissipated. I'm like, that's interesting.
Well, and the fact that you smelled flowers, there's two things. Flowers are not only symbolic of love, also, flowers have one of the highest vibrational frequency as far as plants are concerned,
right,
on the planet. So there's more to it. People, when a man gives a woman flowers, of course, there's the aesthetic beauty of the flower itself. You're adorning her space that she's in, and it's obviously a gift, but she's also, I think most men don't realize that when you give a woman flowers, the woman is entraining to the vibrational frequency of the flowers. Unless she's very low vibing, then it's not going to make a difference. But if she's already in a good place, you're just going to put her in an even higher place, because she will entrain with the vibrational frequency of the flowers.
Oh, that's great.
Which is why women in, ancient times would get, oil extracts from flowers and put it on themselves to smell good, but also because they knew that there was a high vibrational frequency to flowers, and they wanted their bodies to raise in frequency.
Cool.
So,
And then when the meditation ended, the clouds parted and the sun shone. It's like, oh, this is really interesting.
oh, you just reminded me of something. Oh, so the clouds parted and the sun shone. Oh my goodness. So I got to make note of that in our reports here. During your meditation, that is awesome. And then clouds parted. Fantastic. That's a lot of really cool stuff. You know, that's funny that you're mentioning that, because in my meditations, every now and then I will smell something, and I'll smell something more often than I will taste something. I remember one time I smelled a strong smell of smoke, and I thought, oh, it was so strong that it made me stop my meditation. And I went to check, to see if I smelled it down the hallway. I checked with my daughter, and she says, I don't smell any smoke. I said, you don't smell any smoke? And then I realized as I was talking to her that I wasn't smelling the smell of smoke anymore. But now I'm looking to make sure that there isn't a smell of smoke like down the hallway, or maybe something, I went down to the kitchen to check the kitchen, came back up, and I realized, I'm like, okay. So I thought, wow, that was obviously something is making itself known while I was meditating. So the next time it happened, I thought maybe it's just in the meditation and it's not in my 3D world. And so as I continued on with the meditation, what I realized was, it's funny because my father's father, my paternal grandfather, he smoked, but he quit smoking when he was 44 years old. So in my lifetime, I never saw him smoke. I never saw him smoke. I never smelled him like, cigarettes or anything like that. So during this particular meditation, I actually saw his face, and I thought, when I smelled the smoke, I thought, why am I smelling this smoke? But I smelled the smoke before I saw his face. So what I later realized was that smoke is suggestive of one of your ancestors being in your presence.
Mm.
So then I realized, I'm like, oh, okay. So it's interesting. So it was kind of announcing that one of my deceased, grandparents, aunts, whatever, that they were, or it could have even been, I guess, a great grandparent or uncle or what have you, that they were present. And I'm just letting you know that because I just recently yesterday I was listening to a YouTube, and they were talking about the different senses that when you're meditating, and we know this from Dr. Joe's, we're really good at doing all the different meditations with Dr. Joe, but we know that it involves all the senses. You see things in your 3D, you feel things in your body, vibrations, and sometimes movement, sometimes energy swirling. You hear things. It's funny, I'm talking about hearing things, and right now I just realized it's like I have a high-pitched, like what some people would call tinnitus, but that's another indicator of your being in that flow. And then you could smell things, you can taste things, and you could sense things in a way that you can't even articulate, because it's like, well, I don't really know what I would call this type of sensation, but I know I'm feeling it's like a sensory experience type of a thing. And so the video was talking about that. And so, not a lot of videos that talk about things having to do with consciousness or spirituality or meditation. Very rarely will they bring up the gustatory or the olfactory senses that come up. So that's why it caught my attention. And now that you mentioned it, I thought, well, I got to bring this up, because that way everybody that's participating in this becomes aware of that. Let's move on to Maria. We'll do ladies first. So Maria, you'll be next. Then we'll go to David, and then
I'm almost sleeping because it's late here. I mean,
oh, because it's a couple hours later, isn't it?
Yeah, actually,
okay.
I like to hear you a lot because it's very inspiring, everything you say.
Okay.
I found it very inspiring, but the last I just felt asleep. I don't know, 1 hour later when I start.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, it's really great. I like the way you talk and express things.
Well, good.
So,
All right. Good.
So, but I have a lot of, I'm very busy every day, and I have a lot of connections and a lot of things to do. So I'm actually quite busy every day.
Good. Okay, so we'll move on. We'll let you, I'm going to go ahead and mute you, and then I'm going to have David. And after David, I'll read, Heidi actually sent in her report, and she actually had a really great question that she wants to pose to the group. So David, thanks for joining us here again today. And so tell us how.
Hello, Lillian.
Hello, and how are your?
And Terry and Maria.
Yeah.
Good to see all you guys. I got here a little bit late. My internet wasn't working real well. So here I am. So I made it. This is week 7, Lillian?
This is the 8th Monday.
Oh, 8th. This is 8th. Wow. It's moving right along. Okay, so for me, well, I went camping. That was the big event.
Wow.
I have a camper and a truck. It's a lot of work to prepare to get ready to camp. So I went it's about 135 miles west of here in Missouri. It's called Mark Twain State Park. I was excited about going camping, and there's several people that were going that I knew. I was going Thursday because I waited till later, so you have to reserve a spot, and so they had a Thursday and a Friday. So I was going to leave Saturday because there wasn't any spaces left. So anyway, I went. And we got some serious rain. Oh. And I mean it rained like you had it. For me, so I was going to leave earlier Thursday, and I watched the radar, and I thought, I'm not driving through the rain, so I waited. So when I drove, everything was nice, and when I got there, I got set up and everything was great. Took my little meal. I got my little stove, and I brought my own food and stuff. So, and it's got a bathroom in it and a bed, and so it's kind of like actually just moving your living space, which is cool. So for me, the timing worked out quite well. Got to move, didn't get in the rain, and then got my food cooked and got situated, and then it started to rain, and my trailer didn't leak. That's a good thing. And so I happen to like the rain, and there's just something about it. When it rains, it's like kind of cool. It's just nature. And before I left, I put two bowls out to collect harvest water. So I was going to
ask you if you did that.
I have almost 2 gallons of water, actually.
Oh, wow.
Which is more than I have ever had. So while I was gone, because this was 130 miles. So, but anyway, it rained there. And then the next day, what's that, Friday? It didn't rain that much, but I brought my bicycle and had my truck. So anyway, I got to drive around and meet some various local people, and I wanted to check out the dam. And that is Mark Twain's hometown. You're probably familiar with him. He has many, many quotes, and is a very interesting person. And as you probably know, had a lot of hardships and grief in his life. I think he lost 3 children. He lost a couple of wives, and his money situation, he ended up, I think, being bankrupt or broke. He had a lot of great philosophies, and maybe some of that came from his hardships that he learned as he went. So it was a good trip. And then we had a potluck on Saturday night. Oh, so anyway, since it rained, I went and asked the camp host if he said, well, I'll check for you. So anyway, that spot became open, so I stayed over Saturday night as well. And the camp host, he and his wife come to this park in April, and they'll stay till October, and then they'll go south.
Months. Wow.
Well, it's a lifestyle. He said he doesn't get paid any money, but there's no room and board. So it's, in other words, the electric, the water, whatever, and the camping sites are free. And he said, if you want to do that, he said, just go online. He said, there's opening. And
might be an adventure.
Could be. It would be. Definitely would be. It's something I had thought about. It's something to think about. At the moment, I don't know that I would want to lock myself in for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
He said you can pretty much quit when you want. So
that's good. So you have the freedom. So they'll take whatever time you're willing to volunteer, whether it's a day, a week, a month, 6 months.
Well, I don't know that for certain. He leaned in that direction, indicated it, but I would think they would want some kind of commitment, but maybe not. Anyway, it was just an idea. So it was a very fun trip. I really enjoyed it, and it rained Saturday, and then I brought my fishing poles, and so another friend, we went fishing. We each caught a fish. We went to the spillways. I had already checked out the dam earlier before anybody got there. I took my truck and drove around. I like to check out to see what's there and who's there, and So anyway, we went fishing, and then we went on 2 different hikes with a group of people that went there. So and I like hiking, and it's along the lake. And even though it had rained, it wasn't real muddy. There were a lot of rocks. This is Missouri. So anyway, it was a very fun trip. And then, well, I had invited a friend of mine. She indicated she would like to come, and she said that a friend of hers from college was coming Saturday down from Champlain. So anyway, she didn't. Then I had another friend who she called me, or she texted me when I was there, wanted to know where I was camping. She came out before when I was camping. Anyway,
So she came out
I
to the
just
campsite.
yeah. She was watching her grandchildren, but she actually likes doing, and she likes kayaking as well. I didn't bring my kayak because it's just one more thing to haul.
The lug, yeah, lug around. Sounds like she's
Yeah.
active like you.
What's that?
Sounds like this lady is active like you, the second one.
Oh yeah, well the first one's active too. She likes the kayak and camp as well.
Okay, good.
So anyway, they're really just friends. So I don't know really what to think about it, but there's a lot of on Facebook as far as friending. I'm not sure what to think. There's a lot of young, pretty women that request friendship, and I'm thinking most of them is kind of I think it's a scam type thing. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, you have to look at the profiles and stuff because some of them, they appear to be, whatever their picture is. And then when you look at their profile, sometimes you see it's like they recently posted their profile picture and they're new to Facebook, which would suggest to me it's some scammer using that identity. So yeah, you just have to see. I wish Facebook would have a sorting where it would tell you, okay, if it's somebody from, let's say, Dr. Joe's official leaving the monastery, then it's like, okay, it's somebody who's an advanced student who's been to the events. So it's kind of like vetted because they're legitimate.
Right.
As opposed to just because there's so many fake accounts on Facebook. I hear you.
I look at that, and then I looked. Sometimes you look to see who their friends are, if they have friends, and they're all men.
Yeah, that's another tip off. Like if you're
and then sometimes there's a couple of friends that I have, and they're also men, and it's like they went for it. That's what I figure.
Yeah. And you can't lead yourself just because you have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 friends in common, because they could have sent that same fake account to all of those friends, and those friends may have inadvertently just accepted it, thinking, oh, it's one of his friends. Right. So that's what I'm saying. It would be nice if it were okay, at least if it's a part of a private group where people have to be approved to come in, or like I said, just knowing that you have 2, 3, sometimes you have more groups, in common than just like 2 or 3, but there's certain groups, where it's like, oh yeah, everybody in this group is pretty much legitimate because like
right.
Dr. Joe's official leaving the monastery, you can't become a part of that group till after you get back from the 7-day event. And then you have to use the email that you used to register for the event. You have to use that email in order to be admitted into the group. So there's, a certain vetting process that kind of goes through. So that anybody from that group who wants to friend you, and they've got like 18,000 people in that group, but anyone from there is legit, It sounds like you have more female requests, just like, the ladies were getting more male requests. Now the challenge is to sort which ones are legit, which ones are not, and which one we actually do want to allow them to be, in your Facebook online cyber friends group,
Right. Yeah. And I got a new book. It's called Awake. It's your turn. And it's so like Eckhart Tolle in The Power of Now. This guy kind of I'm not all the way to page 100. There's like 400 pages, but it's really cool. I think it's cool. He teaches you how to become awake. He claims that you will know when you become awake. That it's not, there is absolutely no question about it. It's like you realize, I don't know if they only realize, but you realize that everything is connected and you're connected to everything. Oh, wow. He said it's just unbelievable. So this is kind of a guide to doing that. So I'm excited about it. And a friend of mine posted it on Facebook and he was talking about it. And he wants to start a group, get together and discuss it. And I thought, well, that sounds like a good idea to me.
Well, that's part of our exercise of, we've had ongoing about, am I aware? because when you ask if you're aware, in the moment that you say you're questioning, am I aware? You automatically become very present in that moment and you become aware of what you're aware of. Yeah, that sounds like a great book. I'll probably pick it up. I think it's so funny that you should say that everything is connected because, for example, last week I had 2 coherence healings for this baby. Some of you probably saw the posting that I put for a coherence healing for baby Henry, who was born with half a heart. And, you could see his stitches, from the top of his.
Can you see that book?
Yeah. What's the author's name? I've seen that before. Somebody else must have posted on my wall or something, or.
Angelo DiLullo. It's spelled DILULLO MD.
Yeah, I think I saw, or I must have seen something on either Facebook or YouTube because that picture, that graphic, I remember caught my attention. Interesting. As you, not to be, there's no pun intended, or not to be cliche-ish, as we're aware, everybody, not only is everybody connected, but everything is connected. And everybody that is showing up in your experience, doesn't matter whether they're having a positive interaction with you, like a happy, joyous interaction, or if they're having a negative what you would consider a negative or a sad or
through this.
You understand totally, because you gotta love yourself, just like you write that on the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And as Lillian says, you won't find anybody to love any more than you're able to love yourself.
And Lillian, I was just sharing with David, I feel like this program is helping me grow myself so that I had a higher vibration for whoever I attract into my life.
We lost you, Lillian, and you're muted. You're muted.
I had to
there you are.
myself. And I apologize. The connection dropped, and then I tried to join with my cell phone while the recording was converting because it just completely dropped, and I couldn't get on my phone either. So I had to wait till that finished converting. I was still trying on my phone, but anyhow, we're back here. But it's funny that you're
welcome back, Lillian.
Yeah, thank you for welcoming back. Yeah, Terry, I think that's so interesting what you're saying, because I've noticed the same thing too. Our intention, of course, was to, bring in this heart mate and to increase the love. And what we're, I think, all experiencing is that we have a greater love and appreciation for ourselves, feeling more love inside of us. And because of that, we're able to send out, so sometimes we forget certain things if it's just us, but as we're sharing it with other people, we're like, oh, that's right. I also had that experience similar to yours, or something along the same vein, if you will. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a phenomena that we couldn't have anticipated. It's as we're going through this, that now we're conscious of it. Yeah. One of the things that I was going to mention that I was in the midst of mentioning, and then the thing dropped, was about that book that David mentioned, Awake. It's Your Turn, and how when we do both the mirror work, and as we ask ourselves, as you ask yourself every day, am I aware? If you do it once or twice a day, believe it or not, just asking this 2-3 times a day will increase the amount of astral projection and lucid dreaming that you will have, because you're exercising your consciousness every time you say, am I aware? Also, the mirror work, when you do the mirror work, one of the things that you're doing is that I've told you guys to make sure you always look into it would be your left eye. So like if you're looking in the mirror, your eyes are looking, directly to the eye that's on this side. So it's your actual left hand side, because that goes directly to your personal side and to the conscious side of the brain, as opposed to the analytical, critical thinking, left brain. But you're also looking into your soul when you look into your eyes, which is why people oftentimes, when they first do this, at first they have a hard time with this. They have a lot of trouble looking at themselves in the eye, because they're not used to. Normally they're looking at, all sorts of other things, but never at themselves into the eye. And so to look at themselves in the eye, and then to speak with a sincerity and say, I love you, and you're wonderful, and you're beautiful, and you're worthy, and you're enough, and whatever it is that you've put on your mirror that you're trying to really ingrain and program into yourself. Then, like I said, when I first heard of this, it was in the 90s, and Oprah was the one who said about, I never heard of the term mirror work before. A lot of the women in the audience that she had, as they were reporting back to her, they're like, some of them just flat out couldn't do it. And others said it was the most uncomfortable, unpleasant thing that they were going through, that they were really struggling with it. And so that's just letting us all know where we are and how much we've listened to our ego. You know, we have our ego, we have our brain, and then we have our consciousness. And because we have all identified so strongly with our ego and the memories and the thoughts that our brain has, and we haven't had the distinction of what consciousness is, we think that those thoughts are us. And so there's no monitoring. It's kind of like, okay, you know, the ego and the brain are going crazy. They're the CEOs of this corporation. They don't really know what they're doing, but you go along with it because you don't have a distinction that there's your awareness that is loving, not judgmental, not critical, not condemning, not beating you with a stick. No, it only does loving thoughts towards you, loving acts of kindness. And that's why most of the ancient, as you study the different religions, if you ever choose to do that, there is a book, by the way, if any of you are curious, there's a book where it parallels 4 different religions. I actually bought that and gave it to a friend of mine. And in the book, it has what the scripture is in Christianity, Taoism, Buddhism, and I believe Islam is the 4th one. So you get to see how the scriptures that basically, you know, do unto others as you would do unto yourselves, or love one another, or ye are gods, or I can do all things through him who strengthens me. You'll see that in the 4, it's almost identical, almost word for word in all those 4 major religions of the world. And so you start to realize it's like, you know, when God says love one another, or, you know, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. It's like, well, yeah, that doesn't include the Bible doesn't tell us, you know, because the word ego was something that obviously psychologists, I want to say, I don't know if Freud came up with the term ego, or if the Greeks, because the Greeks were such incredible philosophers and mystics and so forth. I really don't know who originated in the English language the word ego, which I'm sure is a Latin derivative, if not it's Latin itself. But the bottom line is this, is that you don't know what you don't know until you know it. Once you know it, once you become aware of it, now you can start to manage it, because now you're like, there's a distinction, there's a separation in a good way as opposed to in a bad way. So now we know from what we've learned through Dr. Joe's books, if you haven't read You Are the Placebo, or Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Becoming Supernatural. You know, on my YouTube channel, I actually do a book reading, review, and apply, where it's like classroom style. We break down every chapter. You're able to begin to learn to distinguish between your ego, your brain, and your conscious mind. And then he has all the meditations that he's put in the book and so forth. But it is something where everybody has to start, you know, with this process. And he talks about there's the seeker who's looking to find the truth. And so the seeker is still seeking, trying to get to the bottom line, trying to find out the truth, trying to, you know, everybody wants to, whatever it is that they want, it's usually because they want to be in a better feeling place. And so that's the initial stages, is that of a seeker. And then you have the initiate. It's the one that has found the truth. And now it's like, okay, it's not good enough to just fill my brain with reading all these books, but now I need to implement what it is that I'm reading, implement what it is that I'm learning. You know, once you decide that you're seeking this information, you want the truth, then of course the teacher is going to come into your experience in whatever form they're taking, you know, shape, whether it's a book, a live event, an online event, etc. So now you start to put into practice those things. And as you put into practice those things, then you start to go into deeper levels. And when you just start to distinguish who you truly are, and that's why all the scriptures say, you know, if you only knew who you truly were and how powerful you truly are, everything in a moment would change. And that's, you know, as we move forward with this, you know, people who have been doing Dr. Joe's work, whether it's for healing, whether it's for manifesting healing, manifesting, you know, a heartmate, manifesting a home, manifesting a better job, manifesting, you know, getting education, whatever it is they're manifesting, as you start to go down that path, I want to say the first big domino, because typically dominoes, when you put them in a row, as you know, they're all the same size. Or if you remember the Lego video that we had several weeks ago, where it's like, all the Legos are pretty much the same size. You knock one over and then it starts a chain reaction where it knocks them all down. In my humble opinion, when we do this work, the first domino or the first Lego is bigger than all the rest. Because a lot of people don't have the courage to even knock over the first domino. Even though they're in pain, the pain is familiar and at least it's predictable. So oftentimes people are like, I don't know that I want to try that. And so they'll just stay. They'll continue to argue for their limitations. They'll continue to make excuses, but never take action to do something to change their circumstances. But the initiate will knock that first domino. The first domino. See, you don't have to be perfect to do this. You can stumble all over your words and you'll still understand me. But you can knock over that first domino and you're like, okay, obviously I'm not the best at this yet and it doesn't matter, but I'm starting, and whatever it takes to master this, to learn this, to apply it in my life, I've got the rest of my life, to do this. And I do want to grow. I do want to have a better life. I do want to be a better person. And I want to be more in integrity with who I am. And even if you can't articulate all those things in that moment, but that, yeah, I am really committed to growing. End of story. Then you knock that first domino and you start doing it, and then as you have success, some people will have success, let's say in the financial area. They're like, okay, yeah, I got it in the financial area. Now they can do it over and over and over again in the financial area. And then they're like, oh, but I can't seem to heal. And let's say they can't heal a condition, or they can't heal a relationship, or whatever the case might be. You get to a point where you do what I've discovered in my experience is that you realize, oh, it's the same thing for everything. It's like the same process. It's my ego that tells me, it's like, oh no, you're only good at this area, but you can't use it. Yeah, you can use it to make it stop raining, but you're not going to be able to do, relationships, or you're not going to be able to do healing of yourself or somebody else, or we know that those are now from where we sit. We know that that's not true, but that's our ego. Until we're aware that that's our ego who's saying, oh yeah, you can only do it for this, but you can't do it for that. Or you're one of those who, yeah, you'll always be fine in terms of, manifesting and making money and so forth, but not this, whatever it is, or all these other things. And that's not true. The truth is it's good for everything. So once you are an initiate and you start to master and you realize, and Dr. Joe there's a brand new meditation that's called magnetizing the center of the magnet. It just came out 2 weeks ago. There's like 4 or 5 digital assets in that particular meditation. It's like the meditation itself is like 2 hours, 40 minutes. And then I can't remember how long the introduction is. And then there's instruction, which is like an hour and a half, hour, 45 minute long. So it's probably like 4 or 5 hours total, the entire thing. But he talks about 2 things. Number one is that we are looking, first of all, it's to not be dependent upon him for guiding us and, teaching us everything. That, part of this work, and we're all learning through the consciousness experiment, as well as our Dr. Jill work, is that everything is inside that 5D plane. As we open our hearts, become heart and brain coherence, if we just keep on getting into the habit and mastering ourselves, which is mastering our ego and our brain, and condition ourselves that whatever challenge, whatever unwanted thing, not to mention the wanted, but anything that's unwanted, the fix is not out there, the fix is in here. So as you raise your consciousness, as you raise your vibration, as you continue to do this, and like, okay, I'm noticing my ego's getting sneakier and sneakier. It knows that, okay, if I get angry, ego's going to go, well, we can't use anger because she's already on to us. Anger's way too obvious. Frustration's way too obvious. But doubt isn't that obvious, or hurry is not that obvious, or whatever the label is. It's all those vibrational frequencies that are under 100 that basically fear is the mama and papa. And then you have the offsprings, which are shame, guilt, worry, hurry, yada, yada, yada. So as we start to master certain things, like, you know, if somebody triggers us, you know, in the moment you might get triggered and you're like, oh, wait a minute, pause. It's like, I recognize that this doesn't feel good and it's triggering me. Let me just take a step back instead of reacting. That's half the battle. It's not stopping that from being triggered or stopping the negative emotion. Because I hear too many people, I get so many messages from people from all over who are saying, it's like, how do I stop the negative thoughts? Well, as long as you're alive, you're going to have a negative thought because you're a human being. And we live in a plane of duality where you have night and day, tall and short, big and small, fat and thin. It's a duplicitous existence. And so our ego is actually there to keep us in our lane so that when the unwanted shows up, we can define what is wanted. Even if we haven't languaged it before, just by it showing up as something negative, we're like, oh, okay, jealousy. That's the ego too. Jealousy is fear of losing something. You know, the reason doesn't matter, but you're fearing that you're losing something. That's why you're jealous. Or if you're envious, which people don't recognize, envy is also a form of fear. If you envy somebody's car or house or whatnot, that envy is a manifestation. It's an offspring of fear. Your inherent thought pattern and emotion of envy is suggesting that there's not enough abundance in the world to provide that thing that you see your neighbor have, whether it's a house, a car, or whatever, that there's not enough in the world to go around where you can have that too. Well, that's obviously not true. There's more than enough houses. There's more than enough cars. There's more than enough. We have 7 billion people on the planet. So it's like, there's more than enough. There's more than enough of everything. But if you focus on what isn't, and you're envious or jealous or any of those negative emotions or not good feeling emotions that are under the umbrella of fear, that's what separates us from our consciousness, which the scriptures also talk about, you know, that fear is what separates us from the love of God. Because if you're in love, I've shown you guys before the Hawkins scale, where we show the vibrational frequency of 100 hertz, which is fear. And then you have love at 500, 528 to be exact. And then above that is joy, 600, goes all the way up to, you know, 800 enlightenment, continues to go up. So like being excited, thrilled, joy, exhilarated, blissed out, all those are like 700, 800 and above emotions and vibrational frequencies.
It sounds like a credit score.
It does sound like a credit score, but there's actually a video that I'll look up and I'll play it next week, where it shows different tonal sounds at, I think they started it at 50 hertz and they took it all the way up.
That was supposed to be funny, Lillian.
Huh?
That was supposed to be funny. That was supposed to be funny.
I believe you, yeah. But have you seen that video where they play the different frequencies and then they put sand on a plate?
I don't know that I've seen the video. I've seen a chart.
Yeah, there's a video, I'll look it up, where they took sand and put it on a vibration plate, and then they adjusted the frequency, and it was connected to music at, you know, the different frequencies. And as the vibrational frequency increased, you see the geometrical forms go from kind of distorted and all messed up to, as it raised its vibrational frequency, the patterns, much like Dr. Emoto's that I showed you, where we showed the water, where if you spoke hate, the water was all jumbled when they froze the ice water. And when they spoke love, joy, happiness, gratitude, appreciation, then the crystals had these beautiful symmetrical snowflake type crystal formations. Same thing was true.
Yeah, that was the first night.
That was the first Monday.
Our first session.
Yeah, the first session, Monday the 10th of May. We had the water experiment from Dr. Imorasu Emoto. Same thing with this vibrational frequency plate that's tied to music that has those vibrational frequencies. You'll see that the sand, it's, you know, just a pile of sand at the beginning. And then as they turn the frequency up and up and up, you see how it's like a general symmetrical pattern. And then it raises and it's more intricate, and it becomes more intricate and more intricate and more organized or more detailed as you go higher up the vibrational frequency. And, you know, and that's true. That's happening to our bodies. That's why it's so important and we have the evidence again from Dr. Emoto and from what I just shared with you to, we've talked about programming water. I think we started that the second or third week of this, to program the water, not only what you think in mind, but what you say and also what you write on it. We've got the infinite love here and the sign of Solomon and so forth.
I think it was the first week.
It may have been the first.
Showed the water. We talked about water. I think the very first week we were using that water.
I think it was week 1 too, now that you mention it. But that's, and our bodies are made, anywhere from 75 to 82, 83% water. And so when you speak blessings and you speak positive affirmations and love words to yourself, that you are self-loving, you actually mentioned earlier, David, that to the degree with which you can love yourself will only be the degree with which you'll be able to share and express love and give love to another. So if you have any self-loathing, then of course you're going to have loathing, it's going to be expressed out to that other person that you love because you have self-loathing issues. And so there isn't, I love what Dr. Joe says. He says, there's no one that is so special that they can't learn to meditate, that they can't learn to do this and have it affect you in a positive way. Doesn't matter how young you are, doesn't matter how old you are. Doesn't matter if you've never meditated a day, a moment, a second in your life, or if you've been meditating for 20, 30, 40 years, doesn't matter. No one is so special that they're not going to be able to participate. If you choose to do this, you will be able to do it and you will get results. And then the proof is in the pudding. We already know, not only from his books, but there's tons of evidence online. And for those of us who've been, fortunate and blessed enough to attend his live events, his 7-day advanced events, his AFUs, et cetera, you see it over and over and over again. So, that's really at the crux of what we're doing here. And I think it's so, it really is a wonderful thing to experience.
We haven't heard about your week.
Oh
Did you have any dates?
I did. So it's been, okay. I had so much that happened this last week. I went out on a second date with a wonderful gentleman who, as we went out again, it turns out, wow, we know so many other, we have a lot of friends in common that we weren't aware of. I don't know how we ever didn't cross paths before. So it was a fantastic date. He took me out. Actually, I'll show you. He took a picture of me on his boat. I got to wear a captain hat. There is.
Oh, he took you out on a boat?
Yeah. So it's the first time I go to a restaurant and we went by boat because we met like at 4:00. So we jumped into his boat. We toured around the Newport Harbor. And then he had it timed like absolutely perfect. And it was really funny. I got to tell you, because it has to do with this consciousness experiment, which obviously he wasn't aware of, but after our last date, the week, it was Sunday before, he told me, he goes, oh, I'd like to take you out again. I have a little boat. I'd like to have us cruise the harbor and then we can go to dinner and maybe can catch the sunset. And I said, oh, that sounds great. So then he texted me, he said, okay, he said something to the effect of, it's like, would Friday or Saturday be better? And then I knew that Sunday I couldn't, because I have a walking meditation group of Dr. Joe students that we get together pretty much every Sunday at 4:00. So I went to reply back, but inadvertently, when I replied back, I put Sunday instead of Saturday. So then, and it was later at night because it was right after we got back from the date, and so I replied back saying, Sunday would be fine. That'd be great. I would love to. So then the next day he texted me. He's like, oh no, I fell asleep afterwards. He said something and I looked at the message and I was like, oh no, I put Sunday. I meant to put Saturday. So then I replied back. I'm like, okay, I actually meant to say Saturday, not Sunday, because I'm already busy on Sunday, but Saturday I could. And then he said, oh no. He goes, I own the boat with a couple partners. And so now they reserved the boat because I thought it was, Sunday, not Saturday or Friday. So then the boat was gone. So then I replied back. I said, it doesn't matter. It would still be great to see you, and Saturday we could still meet at the same time, 4:00. I go, you know what, with our luck, something will happen and the boat will become available. Now, because I know how consciousness works, I just saw myself. He told me he had a Duffy boat. So I thought, okay, I saw myself with him on a Duffy boat. So then he called me later in the week. I think it was like a couple of days before we were going to go. He goes, I don't know what kind of pull you have, because when we reserve a boat, whether it's me or any one of my other partners, we don't have flakes. We don't flake out. So it's like, if we reserve the boat, it's a done deal. But wouldn't you know, you said something will happen maybe and the boat will become available. And sure enough, the boat became available. So we will have the boat on Saturday. I said, that's great. So he said, okay, so we'll go down, we'll, tour the harbor, we'll have some wine and cheese. He goes, I'll bring some wine. If you want, you can bring cheese and crackers. And then he goes, I'll try and time it so that we can, make it to the restaurant. It's a weekend, so it's really busy. All the beach communities on the weekend. He said, there's only 2 slips per restaurant, in the harbor. I said, oh my gosh, I've never been to a restaurant by boat. It's always by car. So I said, that's going to be a first. That's going to be exciting. And he says, yeah, there's only 2 boat slips. So hopefully, he goes, I don't know, we'll have to figure that out. I said, oh, don't worry. As soon as we pull up, there'll be a boat there that will be holding our spot. And as we pull in, they'll be pulling out. And I just went, ha, ha, ha. But I was throwing it in my literal mind movie. And we just kind of left it at that. So sure enough, perfect timing. When we went to pull up to the restaurant, as God is my witness, there was a boat pulling out, and out of his mouth, he said, oh my God, you said there would be a boat holding our spot and they would be pulling out right as we pulled up. And I just kind of smiled and laughed. And then the boat came out and then we parked in there. It was great. So that was pretty fun. That was a fun date. Very funny guy, very charming, smart. So that went well. And then, so the previous week I had like 11 or 12 or 13, something like that, guys that supposedly I matched up with and all this other stuff. So I think I had like 3 or 4 phone calls and 1 or 2 video calls. And then this week it was like, I kid you not, it was something like 20. And then cut to the chase. I talked to one guy on Saturday, and then yesterday I ended up talking to a guy. We couldn't believe it. It's like, oh my gosh, we talked about all sorts of great things. We really had a great connection. And he goes, would you believe we've been on the phone for an hour and 21 minutes? I said, an hour and 21. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been an hour and 21 minutes. He goes, I already know. When we meet, we're going to have a great time. Even if there's no attraction or whatnot, we're going to be friends for a long time. And I said, yeah, I think so, because we talked about so many different things. So then I told him I go at 4:00, I have my meditation thing. So I ended up hanging up on that phone call. Between 3 and 4:00, there was another guy who called. I'm like, when it rains, it pours. Had a great conversation with him too. And then I thought to myself, I go, gosh, it would really be nice to talk to, that guy that I spoke to that it was like an hour and 21 minutes that we were on the phone. But I with no expectation, it's like, it's probably not going to happen, but it would be nice, right? As soon as he texted me after we finished our meditation, then we decided to go to Duke's. And at Duke's, this is so funny, because at Duke's, both the 2 gals that I was with, it was a gal and her mom, who are also going to be going to the Denver. They're going to the Denver 7-day advance, and they're also going to the Marco Island AFU. And so we're sitting there and talking. There is these 2 guys that kept on coming over, come to find out, in Milwaukee and Atlanta, or I'm not sure, the 2 basketball teams that were playing, but they made sure that we became aware that they were next to us because they came over to talk to us. And then, so then this guy texted me. And so I just told him, I'm here having, hot coffee because it was kind of getting cold and we're having dinner. So long story short, by the time I got home, he texted to say, hey, are you home yet? And I said, yeah. So he said, can I call? And I said, sure. So he called. You know what? Between the earlier call And the second call, we were on the phone for 4 hours on Sunday. So we're supposed to get together later this week. We're going to be going out and we'll see what happens. But that definitely was a really fantastic connection. And so that I would say is part of my report is, yeah, it's like definitely something is happening on that front. Having a great time, as you can imagine. I also
That was a great week,
it was a
Lillian. That was just incredible.
Yeah.
So are you going out with the boat guy again?
So the boat guy, well, it was funny because the boat guy was out of town 3 days last week. But then when he got back into town, then, you know, he contacted me again. The boat guy leaves tomorrow, Tuesday. He goes to Cancun for a week because his best friend, under the guise that like everybody thinks he's getting engaged in Cancun. It's actually a surprise wedding. So only his best friend's daughter, him and his fiance know that it's actually going to be a wedding. So he's going to a wedding. Like I said, he flies to Cancun tomorrow and he'll be there for like a week. And then I leave on the 10th to go to Dr. Joe's in Denver, Colorado. But yeah, so, you know, that communication is going well. So it's just kind of interesting, the whole dynamics that's kind of taking place. And then lots of numbers, you know, everywhere, whether I'm looking at my, you know, microwave, oven, license plates, the numbers continue. The dreams, I'm having a lot of dreams, which I'm going to play for you guys at the end of this session. We're going to do it's like 3.5 minute long dream. It'll be a dream recall hypnosis, which is just to input into your subconscious mind that you will recall your dreams when you wake up, which this week really helped because I definitely remember, like with vivid detail, the details of a dream. I'm going to share one dream which also had some serendipity tied to it in my waking life. So there was this one dream that I had, which it was a very lucid dream. And when I was walking up to this, I don't know where in the world this place was located, because oftentimes in dreams, you don't know. I would imagine sometimes you do, but I had no idea. But this place was very beautiful, really green, lush surround environment. And there's this huge tree with a lot of full foliage over it. And then there was a building, it was in front of this very large building. And the building was made of like mahogany. You know, mahogany is kind of a red, like almost like a cherry wood type wood. And so the floors, the walls, the ceiling, and all the built-in architecture and all the built-in furnishings that were on the left and the right were all the exact same type of wood. And very rich looking, very traditional, and really majestic, really huge. And this tree, I was with somebody, but I don't know who the somebody was that was with me, but my perception was that it was a male, it was a man, but I never saw what that man looked like. And as I was walking up, just in awe of this majestic, gorgeous tree, I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, as I got to like a 45-degree angle to the tree, I'm like, the top of the tree looks like the head of an elephant. And then the branch was like the trunk of the elephant. And it just went down like that. And it was kind of like touching the ground and then going up. And I thought, that is an amazing, it's like a tree that is kind of shaped that you could see the head of an elephant and its trunk was the tree branch going down like that. I said, that's incredible. So whoever was next to me, I said, hey, you got to get a picture and you got to get video of that. And then I saw that I couldn't hear the voice, but they said, here, it's like they took some pictures and some video, and then they showed me the screen. I don't know why I just didn't use my own phone in the dream, but they showed me the screen and they said, is there a particular angle or something that you want? He goes, just go ahead, tap it and it'll take the picture. So I said, oh, that's perfect. So then I remember tapping it, great picture. And then we continued. What's funny is as I continued in to walk in the building, the person who was with me didn't go in with me. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So I go into this majestic building and it was just awesome. There really were hardly any people, if at all, in the building. And I just remember being very taken by the the luster and the high quality wood and the workmanship. And it was just it was a building that inspired awe and had really great energy. And so as I finished that dream and then I woke up, I realized this place exists someplace on earth. I know that it exists. I've never seen it before, but it exists someplace on earth. So I told my best friend about it. And then so it occurred to her, I don't know why it didn't occur to me, but it occurred to her to Google elephant tree. She goes, you know what? Elephant trees exist. I said, they do? She goes, yeah. So she sent me a couple pictures of the elephant trees. I thought, interesting. I'll show you. Isn't that bizarre though?
Well, Lillian, I was going to say, I think that elephant tree is going to be on your phone, not knowing that she had texted you a picture of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, she texted me a picture of the elephant tree while we were on the phone. So yeah, so she texted me this, and this is not what the elephant looked like in my dream.
But what I'm sharing with you is I picked up on the energy of that before you said it, that it would be on your phone.
Oh, you're kidding me. I didn't pick up on
No,
that.
I'm not.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah. So you're obviously getting more tuned in. But so this tree doesn't look like, but the point that there would even be an elephant tree that exists on the planet was very amusing to me, because I didn't think that would be possible. And then I just knew, okay, so we'll go down we'll pick up the elephant thing, but as serendipity goes, I'm watching, which I think I mentioned to you guys earlier in the week, I think as I spoke to some of you individually, there's a show on Netflix called Manifest. I'm going to encourage you guys all to watch it. You don't have to watch it, but I think you'll be very intrigued, because there is at the base root underlying theme of the entire two seasons. So at the base fundamental aspect of the show, it has to do with consciousness and a consciousness experiment that's going on, come to find out. And all these signs and symbols, and then people hearing their, their higher self, they're hearing the voice of God, etc. So I'm watching this show and I see this picture. Can you see? You see how you see like people and then shadows, 3 shadows behind them?
I can't see it. It's glaring.
There's a glare.
Let me see if I can.
Oh, I can kind of see that. Yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
Yes,
so
now we can see it.
Kids drawing, and you could see the 3 shadows behind them, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So check this out. Okay. And then this was another. So that was on the show Manifest. And Manifest is implying, like when you have a plane, every plane has a manifest of every passenger that's on board, right? So then I see this in the show. That's not a synchronicity, because it's still in the same show. There's the kids drawing, and then there's this. What is a synchronicity is I go into my daughter's room, and this is what I see. That's a piece of artwork that my daughter's an artist. Well, one of her friends who's an artist, get this. Mine, I have a couple nicknames, but one of my nicknames is Elle or Ellie, because the first letter of my name is L. So some people call me Elle or Ellie. Well, this artist's name is Ellie. Is that not trippy? So there's that. And since I've got my phone out, I'll show you. This is what I looked like on Saturday when I went on the boat. And that's in front of, I don't know if you can tell here, but that's John. You guys remember John Wayne?
Mhm.
That's John Wayne's former home. It says Duke's Point there on the ceramic, but that's
Ah.
so.
Oh, so that's why it's called Duke's.
That's why it's called.
Yeah, the Duke. Who could forget the Duke?
Oh.
The house says Duke's Point on the ceramic. Yeah. Isn't that funny? So anyhow, I could go on about, because this week, instead of just having like 1, maybe 2 pages, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 pages of stuff that I wrote because of all the dreams and all the synchronicities. And it was just, yeah, it was fun.
I'm gonna have to check out soon.
Okay.
And for what it's worth, my son just sent me a text that he's moving to Brooklyn.
Oh my goodness. That's
He
my
lives in New York. He lives in New York now. And they live in Harlem, but they're moving to Brooklyn.
wow. My father's family is originally from Brooklyn. Very cool.
I have a sister that lives in Brooklyn.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, okay, well, if you have to start out, we can understand that. You can always catch on the recording the balance of this. We've got just a few more things that we're going to.
I didn't know if you could do. I was interested in hearing your guidance to remembering dreams.
Yeah,
If you could do that now.
Yeah, we could do that now. Give me a second and I'll pull that up. Okay, so we're gonna do, I want everybody to just take a moment and just take 3 slow, long breaths. As I cue this up, you'll do the inhale. Hold at the top and exhale as slowly as you can. And inhale. Hold. And exhale. Third, inhale slowly. Hold. And exhale. Deeper and deeper with every breath that I take, with every beat of my heart, I go deeper and deeper and deeper. Dreamy, drifting, dreaming, sliding, gliding, deep down, diving down, 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 down. Every moment, every time I go to sleep, I go to dream. I retain every memory of every time I dream. I wake up fresh, enlightened. I recall every detail and every feeling and every emotion of every dream I ever have. And I wake up with the knowledge that I need to know in that moment, resolving and dissolving and revealing to me another piece of this puzzle, of this giant life mystery. And so as I go deeper down, sliding, gliding, deep down, diving into my deepest trance state ever, I go into the realization and recollection of why those things are. And I know from a deep place of knowing, I put pieces of the puzzle together. I recognize, realize, understand, and comprehend the mysteries revealed right before me. I see the synchronicities. I see the serendipities. I recognize the miracles all around me. My consciousness is in me, through me, and all around me, across all time, dimension, space, and reality. This pleases me. I love, absolutely adore having a heightened sense of intuition. My heightened sense of clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, my psychic and magical abilities across all time, dimension, space, and reality are increasing, augmenting for the greater good of all. Now, in just a moment, but not yet, but in just a moment, when I wake up from this deep, deep slumber, this dream that has been revealed, that up until now was concealed, this reveal is made here in my awareness for me to heal. I thank you, and in an attitude of gratitude and appreciation, I am one with the one. I am the one. I am one with the one. I am the one. I am one with the one. I am the one. I am one with the one. I am wonderful. Okay, so that was the recall dream hypnosis. I had something really unusual happen this time, which I've never had happen in any meditation in any way, shape, or form. And I don't know if any of you had this sensation, but as we began this recall dream hypnosis, I felt like I was, you know, those, like, you don't see them here in California, but in the Midwest, you'll see on a front, like, country porch, they'll have those, what do you call them? They're like, I don't know if you call them patio swings, where it's kind of like a long bench and it's like a big swing, and you know, you just
Oh,
very.
yeah.
So at first it felt like it was like a small, like a little bit of swing motion. And then the next thing I knew, it was like more and more and more. And it just got like more pronounced. And I'm like, so I couldn't tell if I was really moving back and forth or if it was just in the hypnosis. And then of course, once we finished, I opened my eyes to see if I was like maybe moving, but I wasn't moving. But it felt so real, where I was moving very smoothly back forth, and it felt like really good. So I thought, whoa, that was a trip. I don't know what to think of that.
Lillian, will you be posting that? Do we have an opportunity to hear that again? Because it kept cutting out. We couldn't hear quite all of it.
Okay, so what I'll do is, I didn't have time. I was going to have that set to like a video, which of course you're not going to see the video if your eyes are closed. One of the things I did forget to tell you is, anytime we do any of these processes where you're closing your eyes, always roll your eyes as your eyes are closed. Roll the eyeballs up so that you're looking into your eyebrows, because that automatically puts you into theta state. Okay. But yes, I will be I'm going to put that as a video on YouTube so that it's separate, so you don't have to watch the entire thing, so that you can listen to the whole thing with better audio so it doesn't cut out. So yes,
Thank
that will be
you.
available. Okay. And,
Thanks, Lillian.
okay.
And I'm going to check out. Thank you for playing that. Terry, nice to see you. Nice to talk with you. I thought that was really cool, Terry, how you ended up in Hawaii. I mean, really, that is, I was impressed. So anyway, nice to see you, Lillian. Nice to see you. And we'll see you in about a week.
Okay,
So
aloha.
so that's the 5th of July, right?
So
So we're
it
just
is-
going to go ahead on
No, it's the
Monday.
6th.
That would
We're going to
be-
hold that on Monday. Is that correct?
So
No.
usually when we have a holiday like that, because people are out of town and so forth, I had mentioned before that we were not going to meet on the 5th. And I have family that's here from out of town. So we won't have a session on the 5th because it's the 4th of July weekend and people are still, you know, with family and all that. We will, instead of Monday, we will do that one on Tuesday, the 6th. And I'll post that also.
We have to get our requests in before all those guys keep asking you for dates.
Well, actually, no, it's like they'll never take me out on a Monday night. This is a priority. I'm not going to move that.
So what I meant is the Tuesday. The Tuesday we have to get
Yeah.
our foot in the door.
Yeah. So no, so we're good. And that spot was already tentatively open. I'm glad that you reminded me, because I got so much kind of going on. Thank you, Terry.
Well, thank you, Lillian, for being so generous with your time.
Yeah. So we're all, I mean, I'm having a blast doing this. This has really been, I mean, I had, like I said, that intuitive hit that this was going to be, you know, I knew what the outcome at the very end. I had no idea that all this stuff was going to manifest like the way it has. So this has been, it's been fun. I'm having a blast. So
Okay,
thank you,
guys, I'm back out tonight. Nice to see you. We'll see you. Look for you on the 6th. Okay,
Wow.
night.
So fantastic. Take care. So I'm going to stop recording now, Terry. I'm going to go ahead and dismiss this as this week's session, and then we'll leave the other things for next week on the 6th. And for those of you who are watching this, you're going to catch the replay. Thank you, my friends and gems. Ciao for now.